Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to TSRC PC GT3, the Super Sprint, and the second season takes us to its second round as we continue our voyage. 3-round trip, of course, around the world. Last week saw us take to South Africa and to Kyalami, and this week we take to the Styrian Mountains. The Red Bull Ring plays host for, of course, the next round in this continuation of what is a fantastic championship. My name, Zach Sweeney Kelsey Gill, alongside me with Kieran Sharp, as always, pushing the buttons behind the scenes, making the broadcast look as pretty as always, wherever you're watching around the world on both the Sim Racing Collective and on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channels, respectively. Kelsey, off the back of last week, I think we're in for an absolute belter of a 40-minute race.
Yeah, we are. It's a sprint round, of course, which means the top 10 from here on are going to be reversed. And the likes of Egner and Saridi and Scrimmer, the leaders of the last race, are going to be fighting their way up through the grid to try and regain those places towards the front. And those drivers who did finish on the lower half of the top 10 are going to have a chance to fight at the front, to fend them off. And perhaps there might be some just as fast drivers hidden amongst the sheep, as it were, the wolves in sheep's clothing. But it's going to be very interesting. Sprint rounds always offer a lot of action, especially here at the Red Bull Ring, a circuit which offers some fairly decent racing from time to time. It's got a little bit of everything going for it, and it should be a good one.
I fully think so. So, of course, yeah, we're going straight into the racing action. Not to worry, there's a formation lap first. Don't stress too much. We're going to skip that 15-minute qualifying that we've come to know and love because it is entirely based on championship positions. The top 10 get flipped on their head, and then the rest is effectively where they finished last week at Kyalami. Speaking of the rest of the season, today, of course, we're at the Red Bull Ring. In a week's time, we'll head to Suzuka before rounding off the championship when we head to Barcelona on the 2nd of May. So a lot of action to come in this sprint around the world. 40 minutes on the clock, though, for today, Kelsey. What's going through the driver's head? What is the aim for turn one?
Well, turn one is a tricky one around here. It tightens up on the exit, and you've really got to be careful as well exiting that corner, because it can send you off if you're a little bit too excited on the traction, let's say. But you've got to try and hold your line, try and find the best way through, not make contact with cars going into that braking zone there. And then, of course, you've got to make that run up in towards turn 3 as well. I know it looks like turn 2, but trust me, it is number 3. It says on the track map right there, despite it being just the slightest of kinks in an otherwise straight line. But it's a sprint round, of course, as well, so drivers are going to be thinking about, it's just a 40-minute race. It is very, very short. They're used to 40-minute races here at the TSRC GT3 series, or however you want to say it. But it's still fast, furious racing. There's a pit stop in there as well, and you've got to play the long game despite it being a rather short race. You've got to be patient. You've got to take your opportunities when they come. You can't be too tenacious with your moves. Otherwise, you may invite an incident, and that may just ruin your chances at keeping a position, gaining a position, or whichever it is you're attempting to do.
Well, to run you through the grid order then, as they're about halfway through their lap. Salvatore Redavid will start this race on pole position. Mav Gardner will join him on the front row. Mikhail Glanovsky just in behind in row 3, ahead of Christian Rochi in 4th. Behind that comes, becomes Sobolski, Paul Sims, Capitoni, Cencelli, 6 and 7. Then comes Streamer to round off the front 4 rows. Saridi and Foreman, the top 10. Behind that, Barbaro, Dom Egner, Salvanecci, Estevez and James Wright to found off the 15 car field that we've got here today. Salvatore David then controls the pace at the front. They're running their way through turns 9 and 10. Interesting to see a GT3 race around the Red Bull Ring. I can't say it's one that I've ever done before, but the recipe and the ingredients are all there to craft what is hopefully going to be an absolute belter of a second round of Season 2 of the Sim Racing Collective PC Super Sprint Series here in GT3 cars. Redavid, as I say, controls the pace, keeps it under that minimum speed. In fact, actually going to stop momentarily. That's a peculiar way to go about things to kickstart this race, but they line up then all 8 rows of them, 15 cars, 40 minutes ahead of round number 2 here at the Styrian Mountains. The 82, the 805 lined up on the front row behind that Glanovski and Rochi, waiting for the green flag to fly and waiting to barrel our way up towards turn number 1. Here we go, we're underway, already 3 wide as Glanovski tries to pick his way through the middle of the top 2. Mav Gardner makes a move for the lead, 3 wide in the background as you can see. Rochi and Tobolski, bit of contact going into the first corner, and it's Mav Gardner that emerges in the lead of the race. So far so good. Now we start our ascend up towards turn 3.
It was a smart approach from Glanovski. He saw himself getting pinched in the middle of 2 cars there, and he backed out quite sensibly as well. We're coming up to the line. This that white Ferrari making the move up the inside of turn number 3, getting the places done. Tried to send it at turn 1 to get 2 cars in one go, or 3 cars in one go even. Didn't quite do that, and Glanovski now under threat. The Italian Mafia out in full force. They make up almost half of the grid out there in those greenish bluish cars. I'm not sure we decided what color that is yet. Zach's not the best to ask about color, of course, but
looks great to me, mate.
Start to the race.
Looks completely grey to me. It's fine because I know that that's a Ferrari and not a Bentley. I didn't forget, Kelsey. I haven't forgotten, and I never will. Glanovski then moved his way up into P3, but still under pressure from the pole sitter of Salvatore Redavid. Then, of course, you've got Rochi just in behind. You've got Capitone Cencelli to round off the top 6. All of these guys looking very clean then, despite the chaos that happened over the course of lap number 1. We tick it off in the books, and Mav Gardner already starting off a sensational lead out in front, nearly a second clear of the rest of the pack, building that gap away from P2, and that's so vital on a circuit that's so straight line speed dominant to get away and get out of that slipstream.
It's a very familiar story, isn't it? That little shuffle, that little argy-bargy at turn 1 as Rochi sends it down the inside, goes very deep off the circuit. Is this going to give Redavid the chance to get back right at him? They're going to be drawing level as they go up the hill, but I think his rivals just got ahead of him. Paul Sims under pressure in the angry penguin looking Ferrari that he's got there as they go up through turn 2 and in towards turn number 3. And another of the Italian contingent trying to get his move done on the inside of turn 3 as well. And I'm trying to find where is I don't think Dom Egner's still in this race. He's not on my timing board.
He's not. We're down to 14, so not entirely sure as to what's happened to the championship leader. That is effectively, I don't want to say championship over, because it's not over until we get to the final round in Catalunya. However, Nicolo Scrimmer looking to the inside, very aggressively done towards turn 6. Bit of contact with Ceridi, sends the number 10 Ferrari out wide. That's going to allow the 58 of Capitone Cencelli to find a way through in the infield section. Nicely done then from the Aston Martin. Was teeing up that move for quite some time, committed to the bit. Now we've got to fight for the lead as well. The Ferrari versus the BMW in towards turns 9 and 10. Mav Gardner putting up a great defense so far.
Yeah, Mav Gardner making that BMW as wide as he can. We're not used to seeing a BMW toward the front end of one of these grids here, so it's nice to see Sobolski. He'll be trying to get us past as quickly as he possibly can in order to get himself. He was up in the runnings at Kyalami, and then there was a fair few incidents in that first half of the race before the pit window opened, and Sobolski, well, he was one of the drivers involved, and that's Ceridi way off the track. He's going to ship a couple places out of fault as they make their way up the hill. It's so important to carry as much speed as you can through turn number 1. It sets you up towards turn 2 and 3 really nicely, and it looks like James Wright's going to have a go around the outside, and here comes the Bentley making a move as well, putting his nose in where it perhaps didn't belong. Estevez finds himself right at the back after an attempt at a move there. Maybe that was an unintentional dive bomb.
Yeah, we've all been there, where we've just completely forgotten to brake, slammed on the anchors and just hoped for the best. Of course, getting a question in the YouTube chat from X Twisty, what is this Ferrari challenge? It essentially is. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Ferraris out in force. No, 9 Ferraris out in force on the circuit here today. That's a good chunk of the field. 9 of the 14 is, yeah, quite a few to say the least. Just shy of 60%, I believe, of the field in a Ferrari 296. It's the best looking car. It clearly is the quickest, or at the very least the most comfortable to drive. At the moment though, Mav Gardner making the most of that BMW M4 and its pure grunt when it comes to straight line speed, maximising his opportunities and trying to put up a sensational defence. Still 35 minutes left to go in this race, and still plenty of opportunity for things to go both right and wrong.
Yeah, I think there's really two sort of ways of thinking about a German car, it seems. You've got the Porsche, which is very nimble. It gets around corners very well. It's a fairly decent all-around car, I think. Probably the Ferrari's closest competitor, perhaps, although I've seen the McLaren do some wonderful things as well. Um, and then I guess the Mercedes, the Audi, and the BMW here, they've all got that straight line advantage. They've got power behind them going down the straights. And at a track like this, it's very, very useful to have that as they go along. It's Ferrari versus Ferrari versus Ferrari here as Barbaro makes a move down the inside. He has not given up on his M4R, guys, and he's gone round. I think he just gave it too much. I don't think there was contact there. He didn't have quite the best angle, but he's found out how harsh the traction can be sometimes here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, easily done, particularly on the exit of turn 4. You have got to be so careful building up that throttle response. Yes, of course, these GT3s have got ABS and traction control to sort of rein it in a little bit, but sometimes the quickest way to go about the track is to just have the assists still on. I saw a comparison video actually where they did no assist versus full assist, and both of them were a lot slower than somewhere in the middle, maybe like a 4 or a 5 out of 12 on the settings. But obviously, while they are still there, they're not going to do the full amount of work for you, and that does mean you can get a bit of slip. When you do get that slip and the TC does kick in, it makes it even harder then to correct it, because you've got no power to then sort of slam into the slide and sort of try and drift it. You would just effectively cut out, bog down, and the rear end continues to go around. It's a very painful spin in ACC. Salvanecci under pressure from a fellow Ferrari, of course, up the hill towards turn number 3. Let's see who's going to be the victor in this one. Salvanecci versus James Wright goes the long way round as the triple for the 11. Not quite got enough on that inside line. Has to stay behind for now. Salvanecci doing all he can to remain inside that top 10.
Yeah, he's doing a decent job at defending for the time being. James Wright will be getting a little frustrated, and here comes Sapolsky looking around the outside of turn number 6. But Mav Gardner just places that BMW right in the right place. Both of them had the confidence to go through there. They didn't come together very deep, though, the BMW this time. This opens up another window for Sapolsky to make a move in towards turn number 9. They're going to draw level. This could be ending in tears if they come together here as they make their way through the final 2 corners of this circuit. They're still side by side, a little exchanging of paint there as well, and now Glanovski's in the background as well. They're still side by side. This is fantastic stuff between these 2 leaders here at the front. Who is going to be the bravest on the brakes? Is Glanovski going to send it in towards turn number 1? Gardner holds his line on the inside, and now Glanovski's all over the back of his fellow Ferrari driver. There's 4 cars now, all within this, as it looks like Rochi's got involved in this as well. This is a fantastic sprint here at the Red Bull Ring. Could it be 4 or 3 wide, perhaps in towards turn number 3 as we go along? It's 2 by 2 they go. Is Sapolsky going to get the drive out of turn number 3 to get this position finally? Well, from Mav Gardner, yes he is, back into the lead of this race. But here comes Mav Gardner once again. Fantastic side-by-side racing between all of these drivers toward the front. And here's Mav Gardner around the outside. Can he make it stick in that bulky car?
Don't quite think he can. He's going to have to settle in to 2nd place. Sensational driving from all 4 involved. Mav Gardner looking for that late lunge to the inside of turn 6. Can't quite go for it, so Sapolsky retains the lead. Glanovski and Rochi there as well as we tick our way towards the 30-minute mark. That's when the pit window is going to open, and that's when this race can get very, very spicy indeed. But Sapolsky put up a sensational attack. Now he's got the lead. What can he do with it?
Yeah, he's going to be trying to get as far away from Mav Gardner as possible. I think he was holding them all up, really, with that BMW. The straight line speed was giving him that advantage, but the agility through the corners not quite playing to his advantage. And look, all of these M4R guys, they've got themselves into this train. We've got a 7-car train for the lead of this race, and it could all kick off again as we head up the hill once more into turns 2 and 3.
Who's going to be teeing up the move then in the near future, or are they going to get it done on strategy? Fight for second place. Glanovski looking to the outside of the BMW M4. Has he got the agility to go that way around? I don't quite think so. The BMW of Gardner able to edge himself away and ahead of the Midas Racing pole driver of Mikhail Glanovski. He's going to have to settle in, battle for second one lap more, but the more these guys fight for second, the more opportunity that Sobolski has of just cementing himself in that lead, and the further he gets away, the harder he is to catch.
Yeah, and he's going to be bogged down now fighting with Glanovski there. James White still trying to find a way past Salvanecci in the 444 car, not able to do so on this occasion. Perhaps a move set up during this middle sector of the circuit, perhaps for the number 11 deep goes Salvanecci's car, and James White just all over the back. Had to brake a little bit earlier, perhaps. He's got more speed than Salvanecci here. I think he might start getting a bit frustrated if he can't get past soon.
Yeah, I think anyone would really, when you've been trying to find a way past for so long, and that opportunity never comes. Maybe this one is that opportunity. The pit window now open, which means you can come in off sequence. Look to the inside from Rochi towards the inside of turn number one. Glanovski sees it coming, goes off the road as to try and deter the attack. It's still just about enough in order to stay ahead. Rochi, of course, is going to be complaining he went off track. Glanovski going to complain that it was a late dive. Both of them, though, no harm, no foul towards turn number three. Once again, couple of looks to the inside there, I think, from Scrimmer, trying to pick his way past Rochi into fourth place. Meanwhile, Sobolski builds that gap in front, 1.2. It's all aboard the Gardner Express.
I mean, Mav Gardner is doing a very good job to hold them off at the moment, but if you're any of those four cars about to become five, you're getting a little bit frustrated, perhaps, because Mav Gardner, it does seem to be the slower of the cars there. The two Aston Martins and the Ferraris there as well. They look a lot quicker than that BMW that's leading this train now, and they're just watching as Sobolski just continues to eke out the gap. It's 1.5 as they cross the sector 3 line, coming into the final few corners of the track, and they've got to get a move on this. They've got to launch an attack on Gardner and get past him if they want any chance at the win.
Yeah, and it needs to be sort of now, sooner rather than later as such. With 28 minutes left to go, there is a nice little move there from Rochi, taking the better line through turn number 10, pulls his way alongside Mikhail Glanovski. Can he beat him off by the time they reach turn number 1? Scrimmer as well trying to follow through, and now to the inside of T1. Glanovski tries to go the long way around, bit of contact between the pair of them. Now here comes the 998, of course, as Scrimmer. There comes Capitone Cencelli as well. Could they make it 3 wide by the time they approach turn number 3? It's Rochi, Glanovski and Scrimmer side by side. Cencelli trying to pick his way through, late on the brakes from the Ferrari to the outside of turn 3. Can he pull this one off? I think he might well be able to. Glanovski the long way around of turn 3 over the sausage curb. Who's going to pull their way down towards turn 4 first?
Fantastic defending. He was really sticking his car right in there, and they're side by side all the way down towards turn number 4. They're exchanging the paintwork as they go, the yellow and the blue, and brave is Glanovski in that Ferrari. He's holding off all four of these cars the best he possibly can. They're still side by side in towards turn number 6. Who is going to get the better exit in towards this corner? Oh, it's so close between them. It's fantastic racing.
It really is nose to tail stuff as we approach the halfway point of this race. Sobolski, meanwhile, same to Mav Gardner, able to sort of edge a gap away from these guys. Who's going to blink first in terms of strategy? Who's going to pit first? Maybe try and go for an undercut. All of them going to stick it out. No, they're not. Mikhail Glanovski is into the pit lane.
Yeah, he's going to go for that undercut here. It's a risky one because the undercut isn't necessarily always the best at the Red Bull ring, depending on when you obviously get yourself respond to it as the driver who is being undercut. Essentially, Sobolski got a decent lead, but what will work in the advantage of Glanovski now is that he'll have clean air. He won't be battling amongst these cars all fighting over second place, and he may even be able to gain a little bit of time on Sobolski and maybe even find himself ahead of Gardner.
Only time will tell. These guys have got to drive as fast as they can in order to make that happen. Giuseppe Capitone Cencelli looking to the outside of turn 4 on Scrimmer. Not enough from the 58 machine to pick his way past. Still 15 minutes left to go when it comes to the pit window, 25.5 left to go when it comes to the race. Still plenty of time left to decide this battle then. Way too wide though goes the Aston Martin, and you can see taking an apex has allowed Cenchelli to actually form a move to the inside of turn 7. Nicely done from the Ferrari, and that was purely by keeping it on the racing line.
Yeah, a bit of a lapse of concentration from Scrimmer there, and it just allowed the window to open for Cenchelli to get the move done. There's a Ferrari coming in the background. I should be more specific than that for certain, but either way, who's that coming in? It's Saridi who's coming for his stop, so he wants to try and undercut perhaps as well, get ahead of this large contingent of M4R squad, of course, or whatever the team was called there. I did sort of see it, but
Wow.
here's our leader, Sobolski, making his way through turn 3.
Part-time there.
Part-time. I didn't have enough time to read it.
Oh really? No, that's fine. You just need to read quicker. There you go. M4R Squadra Corsa is Nicolo Scrimmer. Of course, that's the Italian flag, and he's in an Aston Martin. For those at home that don't quite know what that car is, and I know Kelsey Gill is included in that. Welcome to the sheer professionalism of the commentary booth here at JP Broadcasting. Myself, Zach Sweeney, Kelsey Gill alongside us. Well, alongside me. Of course, I'm the only one else talking here, Kieran Sharp behind the scenes, but he prefers to keep quiet as to not be shouting profanities, I'm sure, out on there. God forbid we had maybe Andrew Pike in the commentary booth as well. That would be, well, not TV appropriate, I'm sure, when it comes to that one. But yeah, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If this is, of course, your first time here, make sure you're coming in, saying hello, give us your thoughts, feelings, queries, questions, whatever really tickles your fancy. As Roberto Barbaro, fancy to move into the top 10.
Yeah, we need like the skybox with Andrew Pike or something,
Oh no, no, because
like...
you can't give him a pen and a canvas because you know full well what he'd draw in it.
Yeah, no, definitely. We can't describe what he would draw on it there.
Well, 2 eyes and a really long nose, just without the smile. I think Andrew Pike would probably go for, or he'd just, I don't know, draw a circle, leave it at that, and call it his nice bald head. Of course, he was playing football this time last week and couldn't join us in the YouTube chat, and we genuinely had to beg the question as to whether or not he was the ball. Fortunately, he wasn't, well, I suppose unfortunately it would have been nice to see him get kicked around. But it's fine. We'll leave the aggression for off air. Nicola Scrimmer there in 5th place, still yet to come into the pit lane. Of course, you can tell by that little orange box next to their driver number. If it's green, that means they've ticked off their mandatory stop rules, and then if it's still orange with a little white 1 in the middle, that means they've still got a mandatory stop to go and still have 12.5 minutes yet to serve it. Sobolski, 4.3 seconds in the lead of this race.
Yeah, polls just popped up in the chat there, Zach. You've probably seen it. Who is better, Zach Peeny or myself? Who knows? Put your votes in, folks. Interested to see what happens with that one.
I'm guessing the 2 votes for me and you, and we voted for ourselves.
I actually haven't voted.
No, oh, that's embarrassing then. No, that's fine. That is absolutely great.
No, it's refusal to acknowledge an ego that I may or may not have.
We're a commentator. You've got an ego. There's no 2 ways about it. We all have an ego complex. We just refuse to admit it.
I commentate for the love of the sport, Zach. That's why I'm here.
So you're doing this for free? I'll invoice your rate as well. Is that how this is going to work? No, exactly. So shush. But it's fine. There we go. Three votes. I'm one of them, and I've got 60%. So we'll call it 50-50. Me versus Kelsey. That's not fair on Kelsey, of course, because he's basically destined to lose, bless him. But yeah, no, as a commentator, we both hate ourselves and love ourselves. It's a very interesting duality between the pair of them.
The results are in.
Are they? And it's 60-40. Nice, that's fine. There we go. No, this is why Kelsey can sort of dictate who's leading and who's not leading the broadcast, like he did to me a little bit earlier on. It's fine. It's like that that meme of the master of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and when they're little and when they're growing up. That's me with Kelsey. Of course, I brought him in season 3 of the PC GT3 series back when he was a little baby, and now he's all grown up. He thinks he's all high and mighty and able to. Just boss me around. It's fine. It's fine. The poll has proven it.
The people have
that's
spoken.
all good. The people have spoken, democracy or something, and this is why. No, actually, I won't say that. That's a bit too political for this broadcast. Christian Rocci into the pit lane then for Aston Martin. Just over half the race left to go. His fellow Aston Martin of Nicola Scrimmer comes into the pit lane as well. Still waiting for a good, decent chunk of the field to come in also. Well, let's see what Sobolski and Gardner can do. Of course, they came in the lap previous. Rocci versus Scrimmer, though, they're going to have a race against time to get out that pit lane.
Yeah, just having a look at the track map, and well, it looks like our race leader, net race leader, Sobolski is in. He's in another postcode. He's so far ahead of the leaders there, of the chasing pack there, I should say. Even 9.4 seconds is the gap between himself and Mav Gardner as it stands right now. Undercut didn't really work. I'm not surprised here at the Red Bull Ring. It is a risky one to go for, just how short a lap around this circuit is. Just under a minute and a half is the lap times roughly. Around this circuit, everybody almost in now as well. Just James Wright, Sencelli and Barbaro yet to make their stop. No, James Wright has come in just as I've said that, so it's just your top two there yet to make a stop. And well, it's the pit stops have sort of put a little bit of a dampener on the race so far, but Paul Sims is having a go.
He very much is. Very, very close to the rear end of the Ferrari just ahead. Not quite close enough, I don't think. However, that Ferrari looked a little bit twitchy. The number 10, of course, of Ceridi. Paul Sims, though, unable to find a way through. But, of course, being a penguin, he prefers to travel in herds. It helps him keep nice and warm. So he doesn't want to get any further away from the pack ahead of him than he would currently like to be at the moment. P9, but the next contingent of cars all lined up for him, and it has actually sort of bunched the rest of the pack up. Usually pit stops sort of elongate the gaps and spread them out a little bit. This one has actually kept everyone nicely queued up behind Mav Gardner. It has, however, allowed Sobolski and Rocci to build a nice gap ahead of the BMW. Also be interesting to see when Cencelli decides to come into the pit lane. He's had an almighty overcut. Where is he going to come out if that's when he decides to come into the pit lane in the near future? Of course, Sobolski was the race leader before the pit stops. He's now continuing to do that at the moment, but Mav Gardner still putting up that valiant defense that we saw over the course of the first stint.
Yeah, and I'm wondering when Rocci made that move. It must have been during the pit stops for everybody else that he found his way ahead of Mav Gardner. I don't remember him passing the BMW, unless my short-term memory has really lost it. I don't know. It's been a very long day, but either way, Scrimmer is all over the back of Mav Gardner in the BMW. We know how quick that BMW is in a straight line. The Aston Martin, though, getting himself into the draft, going to go around the outside. Last of the late breakers, who will it be? Mav Gardner's got that inside line. Off the track goes the Aston Martin, has to rejoin nice and safely, he does. They all slot back in one by one as they head down towards turn number 4. Mav Gardner holding on. He's pressed the Fernando Alonso button of making the car as wide as possible.
Yeah, I saw that mewing that he's done. It's just elongated the jawline of that BMW M4, and he's just able to stay in front. Ducking and diving, though. Look at that from Scrimmer, searching for the inside of turn 6. That could well play into the hands of Glanovski, who's got that backwards momentum. Not quite enough of a gap, though, to see the pole through. So still 4 cars nose to tail, fighting for what could well be the net podium place. Exiting turn number 8 towards turn 9. Mav Gardner forced to go to the inside as the 998 of Nicola Scrimmer looks to go to the outside. Who's going to be able to be the one to blink first? Trying to go the long way around as the Aston Martin. Has he given it a good go? I think he might well have done. Rejoins alongside, but not enough into turn 10. Still trying to go for the outside, audaciously enough. Gets just about given the space by Mav Gardner, albeit 4 wheels off the track. Now they battle their way towards turn number 1. Mav Gardner, what can he do towards the first corner?
Now this is playing into the hands as they almost go free wide of Cencelli there, who is still out on the circuit. Where is he? He's just about to come around turn 9. Is he coming into the pits now? Looking at the track map, he's staying out as far as I can see. Hasn't popped up with the pit icon there. And it's still side by side as they go. The more they fight, the more they're going to slow each other as there's some contact there. Mav Gardner sent off the circuit. There's 5 cars all battling along. Paul Sims is sitting in the background thinking, if these 4 take themselves out, that's me up into a potential podium position. But Cencelli is actually in the pits now. Where is he going to come out?
That is the question. A race against time. Mav Gardner tumbling like a stone in water through this pack. Scrimmer then able to lead the train from Glunovsky, Saridi. Paul Sims just at the back end of it, still unable to really get involved. But these guys need to be working together as to minimize the gap that Cencelli's going to have after pit stops. He has played this into his hands perfectly. Let's see if he's going to able to execute on that potential. Into the pit lane now. Where is he going to emerge? You'd imagine it's not going to be the longest of stops. 25 or 30 seconds, I think, is the mandatory stop time. He's now leaving the pit box towards the pit limit line. That's now. He's able to get himself back up to full racing speed. Is he going to rejoin in P2 behind Zabolski? I think he might well have done. He's going to be very close with Rochi as he exits the pit lane. Just about keeps it within the track limits on the exit. He is going to emerge in P2.
Yeah, wow, what an undercut from Cencelli, and he's going to have Rochi for company there as well, but all that fighting over P4 in the meantime has meant that these two have been able to come out and be relatively clear, and Mav Gardner is now dropping like a stone. It was one incident that saw him go off the circuit, and now he's got 3 cars ahead of him where he only had, well, he had no one ahead of him, at least within close proximity to his BMW. And he's just falling, and I'm just not sure this BMW quite has the agility that the Ferraris and the 2 Aston Martins do.
No, I don't think so. Early doors, absolutely was able to run a very, very clean race, but now they're all through. I think the lack of pace may be starting to show. The inconsistency is starting to show through. James right on the inside of the 82 of David, and momentarily spun the Italian round. He's going to push him very wide out the exit of turn 4. That could well promote the 444 of Salvanecci through as well. James Wright getting his elbows out in this fight for 9th place.
Yeah, he's definitely just no holds barred now for James Wright. He is fighting like, I don't know, he's just fighting like a rat backed into a corner or something. That's the only thing that would pop into my head. But James Wright leading this train of cars for P9. Battles up and down the grid, Zach. It's fantastic.
Really has been a great showcase of talent and the extensive amount that we have got here at TSRC. A little bit wide in the background, I think, from Salvanecci. Oh, no, that's actually David now, of course. Oh, no, it is Salvanecci. It's just decided to refresh twice, and they're, of course, in the same coloured liveries, which is very useful for us in the commentary booth, basically. Or maybe we should just pay more attention. Glunovsky, however, definitely paying attention to that, went way too deep into turn 3, hampered his exit quite significantly. 13 minutes left to go. Nicolo Scrimmer searching for a gap on the pole. Is he going to be brave enough on the brakes and towards turn number 4? Not quite close enough, but definitely showing his hand.
Yeah, he's trying to perhaps give him a little bit of a frightener going into turn 4. They're trying to make a mistake. I mean, this circuit is just relies so much upon being as consistent as possible. If we had had a qualified session, I'd imagine it would have been very, very close between a lot of the drivers here, as they all seem relatively screwed on around the same sort of skill level here as well. And it's one of the things about this Red Bull Ring circuit that it promotes that sort of very, very close racing when it comes to the times, because everybody's relative, just, I don't know, it sort of takes out some of the like the skill gap, I want to say, as well. It sort of naturally pushes all the drivers together.
Ooh, getting very close. Speaking of pushing the drivers together, James Wright giving David a world of space on the inside there into turn 9. Didn't want to take too many chances, but a nice little move there then from Salvatore David back through into P9. Just over 10 minutes left to go for round 2 of season 2 of TSRC PC GT3 Super Sprint. These guys do like their mouthful series names, don't they? James Wright, of course, going to have his hands full when it comes to this battle with David on the exit of turn number 1. The 11 machine might well be able to find a way through up the hill towards turn 3.
Yeah, here he goes. Is he going to go late? No, he's going to be covered off, moving in the braking zone. I don't think that was on the very limit of dangerous, at least, but no big incident as they go there. The poll currently sits at 6 votes now. It is 50-50. It is split at the moment, so the results perhaps weren't in. But either way, I'd say we're equally matched, Zach.
Yeah.
It's not competition.
Yeah.
The competition's out there. He says, yeah, sarcastically. Oh dear. He commentates on one real life race for some kids on
Whoa!
motorbikes.
No! No! All right, it wasn't one race. There are 10 classes of bike. Okay, so I actually did 20, actually no, 19 and a half races. Was meant to do 30 over the weekend, but they had a massive oil spill. Sent bikes around to clear it up. The bikes that were sent around to clear it up then leaked more oil. Then they realized the granules that they put down on the track were actually making it worse, so then they had to red flag the whole event, so it's fine. But no, shush, all right. I've got other stuff that I've done in commentary. Have you commentated on, I don't know. I sound really, really egotistical right now. It's fine. I'm not this big-headed, ladies and gentlemen. I promise. It's an act most of the time, at the very least. As I said, every commentator, every commentator. Every commentator has got an ego complex. It's undeniable. We all have one. And we all think we're better than everyone else, even though 9 times out of 10, we most certainly aren't. But it's fine. Kelsey Gill, how many Formula E races have you commentated on?
Nobody likes a bragger, Zach.
Well, no, I'm just saying. No. You want to give it all that, saying, oh yeah, well me and Zach Sweeney. Go on.
Well, I mean, look, this is the people. Well, I haven't made this decision. The people are voting. They're going.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Anyway, Paul Sims on the back.
No, not anyway.
God.
We have priorities in this commentary with Kelsey Gill. We have.
Yeah, focusing on the racing.
What? What's that? No. What are you talking about? Racing? No. Interestingly enough, me and Joshua Griffin meet yesterday on a broadcast. While everything got boring, instead of focusing on the racing and the strategy, we instead focused on how many hamsters it would take to power an F1 factory long enough to manufacture a front wing. Also, how many guinea pigs it would take, oh not guinea pigs, hamsters it would take to power a Formula 1 car on full battery around a lap of an F1 circuit. So yeah, there we go. That's what we get up to in the commentary booth. But yeah, instead of the racing, while the racing's a bit boring, which right now it certainly is not, Glonowski versus Saridi versus Scrimmer, this three-way fight for 4th place.
Yeah, Glonowski, I think he would have thought he could have gotten more out of this race, but I think the strategy from the drivers ahead and Cebulski getting past Mav Gardner really sort of paved the way for the rest of Mikhail Glonowski's race there in his number 73 car. If he can hold on to P4, I think he'll take that as a slight win. Maybe not as big as perhaps finishing in that top 3 like he might have wanted to previously, but circumstances in the race as well. Not getting past Mav Gardner really hampered his chances at keeping Cebulski honest.
Yeah, very much so. 7 minutes 37 seconds left to go. Glonowski able to hold firm out in front of this train in P4. It's Cebulski from Capiccioni, Cencelli from Rocci to round off the top 3. Glonowski, Saridi round off the top 5 ahead of Nicola Scrimmer. Mav Gardner, who's tumbled down the order after leading the early part of this race. Paul Sims, David and Wright round off the top 10 with just a handful of laps left to go. Glonowski not really keeping that car as clean as possible, not maximising his exits, and this could well open the door for Saridi to find a way past.
Yeah, it could do, and is he going to have a go here? He's got the draft there. He's going to have a look to the inside. Doesn't quite get his way through there, although deep goes Glonowski in his yellow Ferrari as they make their way through turn number 5 now, but not really affecting him too much. Meanwhile, Salvaneschi has gone off the circuit there, as it looked like he might have given up a couple places in that incident. The 444 car down on the likes of, I think that's Barbaro and Foreman he's fighting with. No, Wright and Barbaro.
So which is it, Kelsey?
I'm pretty certain it's Wright and Barbaro, just looking at where the positions are. You kind of got to do a lot of detective work on ACC.
Oh, Glonowski!
Timing tower. Oh, that's not the circuit, and he's lost both places. It's now an M4R, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Fantastic for them, not so great for Glonowski. What a lapse of concentration that was. Can he get himself back ahead of these two cars? He's not got long to do so.
He hasn't. 5 minutes, 50 seconds left to go, and that was far too wide. Talk about detective work. He might need to find where the track limits start and end. Way too much speed into turn 10. It's put him on the back foot then in this battle. Antonio Ceridi has been given a golden opportunity to take 4th place in this race. For round 2, of course, we've still got 2 more to come. Suzuka and Catalunya to round off the season over the course of the next 2 weeks. So short and snappy are the super sprints, very much living up to their name.
Yeah, for sure. And I could have sworn that track limits always used to be quite a big issue at the Red Bull Ring. Seems like either somebody's paid off the race directors to take a day off, or they're just having a nap or something.
Kieran Sharp, it could be both. It could very much be both.
It could be. I don't know. Maybe Andrew Pike was involved and he just
How
forgot.
much is Kieran Sharp worth is the question. Does he charge more on weekends? Who knows? Only he will. Andrew Pike, though, I reckon he runs a tough bargain for his rates. And we're talking about race directing, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. 4 minutes, 46 seconds on the clock. He charges per corner, which is not many here at the Red Bull Ring, but you know, you got to. I wonder what the rate is per corner as such. And Glenowski might well have some deep pockets, and that's why he's not racing in the real world instead on the sim, because all the money that was going to be spent on the real car has actually gone up into Sharpie's pocket as to pay him off for the track limits. Let's see what he can do, though, side by side towards turn 3. Looking to the outside, he's been very strong at this move, actually. Been very brave on the brakes, and he might well be able to find his way back through into the top 5.
Yeah, decent exit, though, from the Aston Martin of Scrimmer there as they go down towards turn number 4. Glenowski, though, is not giving out. He is putting his foot all the way to the floor, around the outside. Once more he goes. Can he seal the deal through turn number 4? Yes, he can. Quite. Oh, not really. He didn't get the exit he wanted. The Aston Martin was able to hold him off as he went through. Inside now as they go through turn number 6. The car number 73, though. The agility of the Ferrari, able to outmatch Scrimmer's Aston Martin, who has a little look through turn number 7. But he's got past one car. He's got one more to do to get back into P4. Recovery on. Very
much is. 1.2 seconds is the gap, and that is the visual. A good sort of 5 or so car lengths between himself and Antonio Ceridi. I think his focus might be more lean backwards as opposed to forwards. We'll, of course, find out what's to come with just, I would want to say, 3 laps left to go. 2 at the line as Sobolski leads another lap here at the Red Bull Ring. The Aston Martin, about to call that an Alfa Romeo. Goodness me, you're rubbing off on me, Kelsey Gill. The Aston Martin of Scrimmer trying to pick his way past the Ferrari of Mikhail Glenowski for the top 5. Let's see what they're going to be able to do up the hill towards turn 3. Vital moves, of course. Every point counts in a championship as short as this one.
Yeah, you've said a couple sus things this stream, Zach, and I'm surprised nobody's called you out on it. There it is, Andrew Pike. Right on cue, as I say, and it looks like...
I'm surprised he didn't pick off on someone earlier. That's fine. I'll have to squeeze it in a bit more. Glenowski looking to the outside, side by side towards turn number 4. Let's see as Scrimmer tries to pick his way past. There's contact between the pair of them, and Glenowski's gone in far too deep towards turn 4. He rejoins the circuit with probably a little bit of frustration.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it was all on him, really. He went too wide at the final corner, invited the pair of them through, and has put himself in the position to be fighting back for the position that he was holding quite well at the time, or at least before the incident that saw him drop down to P6. And I think he's racing a little bit, not with the coolest of heads, perhaps frustrated with himself for making that error that saw him go down, and maybe even still affected by being stuck behind Mav Gardner for such an extended period of time. But James Wright holding on to the fringes of the top 10 there. Barbaro chasing him down. Closest battle on the track in these dying stages of the race. I'm trying to see where our race leader is. He's coming through in towards turn number 4, so we could have one more lap after this one.
I think we might just be able to scrape it past. We'll, of course, find out. James Wright searching for a way to keep this top 10 versus Barbaro, who has gone way too far into turn number 1. Albeit a very, very nice livery on that Ferrari 296 GT3. Not quite enough to see him pass and into the top 10. There is that man, by the way, Bartek Sobolski, the Italian driver, flying out in front. in probably the most interesting colour scheme I've seen on a Ferrari. Of course, the white and the gold. It's not something you often see when it comes to Ferraris. But I have to say, it is looking very, very good indeed. And not only is it good looking, it's also very, very fast. And getting the best of both worlds there is Cebulski. He's been absolutely on fire all race long. He's about to start his 26th and final tour of the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one. It's a shame that Dom Egner, whatever happened to him right at the start, has meant he got to sit this one out. I think it would have been interesting to see what the German could have done from P10 on the grid, but sometimes it happens in sim racing. Maybe he just dropped out, or maybe there was some contact. Who knows what happened at the start of the race there, but we're going to find out what's going to happen between this fight between Skrimmer and Glanovski very soon. Here's the Aston Martin, the 998 car, going to be able to hold off from Glanovski in the 73 numbered Ferrari in his dying stages of this race. Let's see, Glanovski, does he go for a send around the outside? He goes very deep. That will compromise him on his exit through there, not setting himself up for the best chance.
Not quite. Let's see where our race leader is as well in a few moments' time to see where he is going to be incoming across the line. Bartek Cebulski, the Italian driver, fielding the number 19. It's my lucky number, of course, for obvious reasons. And, well, I think that one is flying very, very nicely indeed. He was just off lapping Estevez in the Bentley just ahead. But what a race this man has driven. He has been on top form here today. One more corner to round for Bartek Cebulski to take victory of round 2 of the TSRC PC Super Sprint Series here at the Red Bull Ring, the Styrian Mountains, and victory for Bartek Cebulski in dominant fashion, miles ahead of the competition, took the lead early on and did not look back from that point. Giuseppe Capitoni Cencelli, after a sensational strategy, emerging from the pit lane ahead of Christian Rocci, takes second, with that man himself making it an all-Italian podium with Antonio Ceridi there as well. I think making it an entire Italian top 5 with Glanovski there in 6th. We'll, of course, run you through the full finishing order in just a second. But what a race. And what sheer dominance from Cebulski.
Yeah, he got ahead of Mav Gardner and he didn't look back, did he? And that was vital, and it's the mistake that the other drivers made. That I think, you know, Gardner was definitely the biggest factor in Cebulski taking the win at this race there. If the likes of Glanovski and the M4R drivers could have got past Mav Gardner a lot sooner, then there might have been a bigger fight for the lead all the way along. But uncontested was Cebulski from that moment he got past Gardner, and a fantastic drive.
Was indeed Craig Foreman there in the Alonso Aston Martin. Not entirely sure as to make himself a little bit different, or to sort of make himself look like an Alonso Aston Martin, but there he is nonetheless, finishing inside the top 10. Daniel Estevez for Bentley, the Spaniard, last across the line, but still scoring himself some good points. We'll run you through, of course, as I say, the final finishing order in just a second. Bartek Cebulski victorious here in Austria. Giuseppe Capitoni Cencelli and Christian Rocci the podium here for the second round of the season. Antonio Ceridi and Nicola Skrimmer the top 5 ahead of Mikhail Glanovski, and Paul Sims making some slow progress forward to finish in P7. Mav Gardner, what could have been for the M4, he finishes 8th ahead of our pole sitter Salvatore David and James Wright, the top 10. Barbaro from Salvanecci, Foreman, Estevez, and Dom Egner, who didn't even get a lap into this race before calling it quits, down there in 15th. What could that mean for his championship campaign? Kelsey, we saw an absolute belter here today. What's to expect when we head to Suzuka?
I think more of the same, really. Suzuka's another circuit that really offers some great racing, although it is vastly different in the fact that it's a lot more technical. There's a lot less opportunities to overtake, but it's going to really separate some of the more dialed-in drivers from some drivers who are perhaps a little less dialed in. So it could make for some great racing between some of the more skilled drivers out there on this sprint grid. But they're all great drivers in their own right, and they've proved it today by having such an incredible race.
They have indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that is going to bring an end to our coverage of the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Super Sprint. The second season, the second round took us to this prestigious circuit in the Styrian Mountains. And what a race that we saw. In a week's time, of course, on the 25th of April, join us once again for 40 more minutes of action. We continue our voyage around the globe. Next week, we head to the infamous Suzuka through the S's and the figure of a circuit that we've come to know and love over the years. Who's going to be the one to take victory in a week's time? Join us, 8 p.m. for those in the UK, both on the Sim Racing Collective and the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Make sure you've liked, subscribed, turn on the bell to stay up to date with everything sim racing news, commentary, broadcast, whatever tickles your fancy. But make sure you're back here in this spot, ready for round 3 of the Super Sprint. It's goodbye for now.